Hello everybody, it's Xiao here from Xiao.info. Today we're gonna study Salesforce development together by picking up this Clone Opportunity open source project. We're gonna walk through what content the project contains, how it works, and what problems it tries to solve, and then we're gonna pick up some learning points from this great small open source project. First of all, why do we study this project? As I mentioned, it's small and it tries to solve just one problem, and in my opinion the author has did a good job to solve this problem. So what problem it solves is to clone opportunities. Okay, in Salesforce we have opportunity record, and if you want to clone the opportunity, they are related products that can be also cloned if you want. In the classic view, there is a button that does all this out of box for you. Okay, but in the Lightning view, unfortunately, that option is not available. So because of that, the author SFQ has created this wonderful small project and solved the problem. So what I have done is that I have already cloned the code to my local. We're gonna open the code in the editor and then walk it through. And then also I've already installed the small solution into my dev environment. So now let's firstly go through how it works in the dev environment. Okay, I've already created a test opportunity in the environment, and I opened it in the browser, and then on the arrow down there's a clone with products. That's a custom button. When I click this up, there's a Lightning component popping up. The Lightning component opens up the related products from the to be cloned opportunity. Okay, these things are like popping up in the page. Then you can change the quantity, change the sales price, all the related values, and then you click save. Then these products are also cloned along with the opportunity for you. As we can see on the Lightning page, the new opportunities cloned up, and then the products related with them are also cloned up for us. So this is how the solution works. So now let's go back to the repository. First of all, a big thumb up is the README page. They also did a really good job to write down the README. As we know, README is super important for open source projects. Otherwise, we don't have time to check what it does, how to use it. So overview, then prerequisites, and then how to start using it, how to configure it, then what the solution really does. If you follow along all these steps, then you definitely know how to use it. So a big thumb up for the README. And then let's open the local code structure. As we can see, first of all, it has Aura folder, which contains the clone opportunity Lightning component, which we have just seen in the dev environment. We click the clone with opportunity button, then that pop-up is the Lightning component here. Then we have the class files is Apex files. It has a controller, which controller contains the functions that sits in between the Lightning component and the backend platform. Okay, the Lightning components talk to the controller. Multiple methods here. As we know, the Aura enabled means the functions can be used by the front-end Lightning component. And then there's a test files, does some simple tests, and then we can see there are objects, opportunity and object line items. These are out-of-box object, but it comes as extra custom fields we're gonna check later. And then it has a static resources, it's a CSS file, and then we can also walk through why do we need a custom extra CSS file here. So firstly, it's a Lightning component. I don't want to spend much time to talk about it. It's a totally separate topic, but it's a really good study resource if you want to learn Lightning resources, the Lightning styling systems. So just walk you through, understand how the Lightning component is constructed, and also some JS files related to stuff. Okay, the main thing I want to talk about today here is the clone functionality. So when we do the clone opportunity with the products in Apex, really good or smart feature is that it uses the field sets. So what does it mean here using the field sets is that when we do the clone from one opportunity to another, we allow the users from the system to define what fields are to be cloned. Do we clone just one field, two fields, or multiple fields? So that enables the admin to define the fields. Okay, it's totally decoupled from the code. The code is deployed in the environment, and the code would read the field sets, and then according to the field set settings, how many fields are already grouped into this field set, and then that decides what fields to be cloned, which in my opinion, is a really smart hack, because field sets, as you might know, it's just a group of fields. Because Apex is able to read the element in that field sets, maybe that's the reason that the author SF Cure tries to use the field sets somehow to hack, and then allow the users to, to use it here to allow users to clone different fields. We can, of course, in some other options as well to do the same thing. For example, use the custom settings, custom metadata. But the good thing to use the field sets is that it opens up and it allows the users to see the fields. So it's somehow linked with the field. So it's not so like a notepad plain text. Okay, it does read from the environment what the fields can be added or can be removed from the field sets. And this is really a good point. Another point is that I just mentioned the static resource. Why do we need this static resource file, the CSS file? So because when we go back to the environment, is that when we do the cloning, when we pop open the lining page, unfortunately, has the fixed size, okay, fixed styling. So it's not possible for us to determine the size of the lining component. So that's the reason, in my opinion, that the author in the lining component, if we go back here, the second line to define, to use this copy op style file, which is deployed as like the static resource files. As we can see, there are all the important tag in the CSS. Basically, what it does is to override the parent CSS styling and use these ones. So because it overrides the CSS, somehow that allows the pop-up lining component to extend the width. As you can see, if it's like a regular lining pop-up, it's a smaller size, then not all these fields is displayed in the screen. So I think that's also a good hack for learn. And also we can see that in object the field sets are already contained here, okay, and opportunity line items as well. So I think these are the things that very good for us to study and to know. And definitely, if you want to study more about how to create a lining component, this clone opportunity is also a good starting point for us to learn. So that's basically all we want to study. And then what can we contribute back to this project? So first of all, in my opinion, we can clean the code a little bit. Some of the code are kind of redundant. They can be extracted in private method to make it more readable. And also, I think some of the code looks a little bit too messy, like all these things, all these checks, they can be done in the private method. But in overall, this project has solved the problem very well. So we only need to update a little bit of the code styling, and in addition to that, to let's say make the unit test a bit more well-rounded to cover more things. At the moment, the unit test just tested the number of opportunity. You can test also the fields, the related product cloning as well. Okay, so those things can be improved. But all in all, a very good project, a very good README documentation, and I really appreciate SF Cure has shared this project with us. So in future, we can also study more open source project. So this is the first one. I hope you like this content, and remember to go to the link below and then deploy the package into your environment and then play around with it and then study the content so that you get the hang of how to create the package, how to do Salesforce development. So that's all about today's content. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make a thumb up if you like the video, and then I hope you guys having all a wonderful day today. Bye bye.